Hey guys, Ben Paynes here, and today we're back once again for another video. However, this time we've taken a little bit of a road trip over to Teamsport Reading for a Monday night social event. So not our usual track at Bristol, but before we push the boat out and try something a little bit different. Now, before we do get into the rest of the video, I would like to say if you are new here, or if you haven't already, could you please hit the subscribe button down below, as it really does help me out. And if you do enjoy this video, then could you also leave a like on the video too, as it really does mean a lot to me. Now, I'm going to jump in straight away and say I'd like to have a big apology. There's no actual external audio on the footage, and I don't actually know why this is the case. The GoPro didn't actually pick up any audio, so unfortunately you're going to have a lot of raw footage with just my voice, and I'm going to put a little bit of music over in the background so it's not just me droning on. But as we get into our first lap here, I had a few little warm-up laps under the yellows, but other than that we jumped in straight away. You can see already on the first couple of corners we made a move on another driver who then let us pass, and we were on our way. Now, we did come along here with Harrison Earl, whose channel I will link down below, and I also came along with Sam Gaskell, so two quick young drivers that I was just determined to try and tag along with and try and keep up with them as best as I possibly could. So here, our first lap, we come round the big right hander here, coming across the start finish line, our first lap being a 57.208 second lap. Now, we cut across here into our next lap as there was a red flag, so I didn't want to bore you guys with that too much. We come around here on our next lap, obviously our first lap being a 57.208, and I was just still trying to learn the track, try and be as close to the apex as I possibly could. A lot of the other drivers said that the track was quite slippy. Now, compared to Bristol, I didn't find this to be the case at all. I found the track had a lot of grip. There was a little lack of grip on the concrete in the bottom section, and this corner that you're seeing now was one that I did struggle with for the whole 45 minutes. We did do 45 minutes straight rather than the usual 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off, 15 minutes on again. So it was a bit of a test of endurance to do 45 minutes straight, and it was a really good bit of fun. But as I mentioned, the bottom section felt a little bit slippy, but obviously nowhere near to the standards of Bristol. You feel all over the place, especially at the moment with the conditions as they are, and the upper section on the wood was also very grippy, so I found that I was able to keep my foot in on a lot of the corners a lot more than I usually do going around my local track. Now, we come across the line on this lap with a 55.841, so a lot of an improvement. We cut across here because there was another red flag, and the driver ahead of me actually held up his wheel. Now, he did actually lose his wheel, so he was sat here for a good long time. I was wondering what was going on until he picked that up. So one of the drivers actually lost their wheel on the car, which is something that I've never actually seen happen. I've heard of it happening, I've seen it on YouTube videos, but I hadn't actually seen it happen in real life. So that was quite a funny experience to see that and wonder what was going on. But the driver let me pass, and we were on our way once again, coming round on this lap, trying to get this corner a bit better, but unfortunately overshooting it quite a lot there. As you can see, going really wide, checking back over my shoulder just to see if anyone was behind me to not really hold them up. So here I was just trying to take as clean lines as I possibly could, trying to get as close to each apex as I possibly could as well. Obviously, by staying a little bit wider, you're actually losing a lot of track time, so I just wanted to minimise the gaps between each of the sections. Now, I did actually wave past. This is Thomas Fleming. I know he's a local to the Reading track, and I was just willing to try and tag along behind him. He was actually fastest on the night by about a second, so I just wanted to try and tag along behind him. I know he does a lot of outdoor racing as well, so I knew he was quite quick, so I was just trying to see what kind of lines he was taking and see if I could improve on my own times. Obviously, this was probably about the 5th or 6th lap, so I was just trying to tag along behind him here and just trying to see where I was going wrong, really. And you can see how much time I've already lost to him. He got a lot better exit out of that corner and really flicking the car in, which is against my driving style. You can see how much time I lose once again on that rounded corner on the bottom section, so losing a lot of time there. So I knew I had to improve there, and I realised at this point that I really had to adapt my driving style. I usually tend to try and be quite smooth on the pedals and smooth with the wheel, but instead here I felt that I really had to chuck it in and try and be as quick as I possibly could. Now, you can see up ahead here Harrison rejoining us. He waited up for me and was tagging along behind as well, so he let us pass, but you can see the gap to Thomas is already gone. So unfortunately I wasn't quite on the pace he was on the night, and instead I was a little bit slower, 54.938. So a bit slower and not even as fast as my fastest lap so far. And up ahead as well, Sam Gaskell will catch up with him. I did make a bit of a scruffy move going into the bottom hairpin there, coming around the bottom section, and that did lose me a little bit of time to Harrison behind me, and I felt that he was breathing down my neck at this point. Again, getting this rounded corner a little bit wrong. See me looking over my shoulder and he's already there, so I knew he was going to go for a move down the inside. He gets a nice move there. I looked for a little bit of a switchback, but unfortunately it doesn't quite pay off. So I thought if I could sit behind Harrison, see what sort of lines he's taken. Obviously he's a very quick driver, a very light driver, so I thought if I could stick behind him, I'd be able to sort of push on and catch up to Sam up ahead. He goes for a move down the inside here on the little bit of the corkscrew here. Sam goes a little bit wide to let us catch up, and we're able to both force our way through. So at this point now we're in a 3-man train, just trying to get as decent lap times as we possibly could. You can see I get a way better exit coming down the start finish straight, and literally loading Harrison into the corner a little bit there, carried a little bit too much speed, and this was the area where I thought I was a little bit quicker coming through that bottom hairpin, but unfortunately I was just losing time on some of the other sections of the track. You can see here, checking over my shoulder for Sam as well, feeling a little bit of pressure. And here once again, just getting this corner all wrong, and Harrison able to gain so much time on me going up the ramp here, and it just was the sort of theme of the video, this one, just losing a little bit of time on that corner, and it was just sort of my bogey corner really. I've really found it to be a bit of a struggle, but you caught up a little bit here. I think Harrison was not quite using his full potential here, trying to stick in range of each other, but it was a lot of fun and we really did enjoy it. So here we are then, just tag along, Sam going for a little bit of an audacious move, punting me wide, so we both lost a little bit of time to Harrison there. I gave him a little bit of a look over my shoulder there to say that was a bit naughty, but we carried on along our way. We come across the line at 55.686, so still about 8 tenths off our fastest lap so far, and just really trying to tag along behind Harrison here and try and get some decent times in. Obviously a little bit slow so far. I think the fastest lap of the session overall was a 53, so I knew in myself that I had a little bit of time to catch up on, because I came along and saw Sam and Harrison actually doing a practice session before the Monday session or the members session, so I knew that their pace was around the 54.5, 55, so I thought obviously they were going to improve after having that track experience. So I thought the quicker I could get on and the quicker I could pick up the correct lines, the quicker I will be. So here you can see being a little bit scruffy, losing a little bit more time to Harrison here. Really, the camera doesn't do it justice, but coming round that corner there on the corkscrew, I really was all over the place in the seat. I was bouncing around, I couldn't quite stay stable, so getting those corners a little bit wrong there, and I let Sam through because I knew he had a little bit more pace to me at this point, and I thought he would catch up to Harrison and sort of drag me along with him as long as I could keep it in a nice, stable and safe condition going round. So here, just tagging along behind Sam here. Harrison's slowed down a little bit to try and have a little bit of a race with us, but you can see once again getting that corner all wrong, not getting the rotation in the car, and I've actually lost so much time. Harrison there letting Sam pass, and then I was just trying to tag along behind the both of them just to ensure they didn't quite drive off into the future. I wanted to try and keep up with them as much as I could, tag along behind them and just get the lines correct. Again, really finding here that I had to be quite aggressive with the steering wheel in order to get the rotation in the car. You see a driver there letting us pass in our little train, but I was just trying to tag along behind. As I mentioned earlier, I'm usually quite smooth with the wheel, but I found here by using really sharp movements on both the brake pedal and also the steering wheel, I was able to get a lot more rotation in the car compared to what I usually had, and that was a lot different to anything that I'm really used to. But it was good to come along to the track and have to adapt to the conditions and really improvise my driving style, because obviously you can't just become accustomed to one track. Once you do that, you don't really improve as a driver, so it was good to come along, race some of the more local members and see sort of what pace we were on by the end of the session. Now you can see here once again mucking up that bottom corner, and this meant that I did lose a lot of time to the two guys up ahead. Now Harrison and Sam did seem to always have a better exit out of that corner, so I was trying to see where I could find ways to actually improve on that corner, because I felt that I was able to maintain the gap between the rest of the track. It was just that one corner where I was losing a lot of time. Now we come around here, the big right corner here, probably one of my favourite corners at the moment at Teamsport. It was a lot of fun to just really send it around that corner, but we do come across the line there with our fastest lap so far of 54.739. Now we do skip ahead again because there's a few laps with a little bit of traffic, a little bit of a few incidents, not really anything getting involved like a yellow flag or two, so I was just trying to get back on it as quick as I could, just try and maintain the pace that I was sort of holding to try and get down into the quicker times where I possibly could. Now coming around my bogey corner once again, really flicking the car in right and then left, and realising that the slower I go into that corner, the tighter I can hold the angle coming back out of it again, which is something that I really understood, and I was able to actually improve on my times because of this. Obviously losing probably, I would say, about half a second going through that corner at the moment, so it was good to learn on the fly. But you could see once again the weight difference here between me and Sam Gaskell. He's able to absolutely shoot up past me up the ramp, bobbing along there in front of me as well. So I was just trying to tag along behind him, going in a little bit hot there and having a little bit of contact, but once again looking to try and get back past him again, having a little bit of a race here coming through the last corner. We come across the start finish line and we go for a little send down the inside, but unfortunately not quite holding the apex, and unfortunately losing a position to Harrison as well. So a bit of an ambitious move, but one that I did really enjoy trying to go for. Unfortunately I wasn't able to park the car in the right place. See Harrison give me a little finger wag there as well as we came down the ramp. So I was just trying to make a little bit of a move, try and make a position back, but unfortunately, as is the case, once you go offline a little bit, the drivers behind are then able to file back through. So instead here, I was just trying to follow along behind them once again, just trying to get back into a nice rhythm and just try and get as fast a lap time as I possibly could, staying as close as I could to the barriers, going all the way to the left here just to try and maximise the track grip, and then coming back through once again through this section, which I really enjoyed. You can see Harrison mucking it up a little bit, urging his kart forward, and then going through my favourite corner at the moment, a big right hander which you can really just keep the throttle in the whole way round, come across the line very consistent, 55.542, but still about 7 tenths or 8 tenths off our fastest lap so far, which was a bit of a shame. So was really trying to get the lap times down as much as I could, obviously making a few mistakes in that lap which caused me to lose a little bit of time, but really willing to get back on it once again, taking it a little bit slow as I mentioned back through here again, but not quite getting the right angle. So Harrison's still able to gain a bit of a gap on me through that corner, still not able to get it right. Sam goes a little bit wide there to let Harrison back through, and then I was just willing to try and tag along behind Harrison as much as I could here, try and keep up with him. Obviously at the end of the day he is a national finalist, so I did want to try and keep as decent gap to him as I possibly could. I know he has some good ability, so I was just trying to follow him round, try and not lose the gap to him too much. And again, going through that corner, you can see how much I'm bumping in the seat, and the hyper smooth on my GoPro really doesn't do it justice, but I almost felt like I was bending over double to try and counteract the amount of bouncing that was going on in that corner. But we do come across the line on this lap with a 54.347, which is our fastest lap so far, so really improving now, wanting to get down into the 53-second laps if I possibly could. We're coming around halfway through the session now at this point, and I was just trying to push the kart forward as much as I possibly could and just try and catch along behind Harrison. Obviously losing a little bit of time once again. You can see the gap has been created now as we got up the ramp, but lost a lot of time to him, quite a few kart lengths. So was just really willing to get my head down, get some decent laps, try and keep as much momentum through the corners as I possibly could. You can see there again, just not getting the drive up that corner unfortunately, and this allows Sam to slip down my inside once again in the same place. So I was stuck behind Sam once again, just trying to follow him round, try and get as close to him as I possibly could, try and put him under pressure if I could, just to try and gain the position back. You can see how close we are coming through the right hand corner. I don't know why I leaned forward there. I think I did it as a little bit of a joke, but it actually threw the balance of the car off, so the back end did actually go all over the place. It did lead to me losing a bit of time, but we do jump forward ahead once again, coming across the line at 54.627. So now really cementing ourselves in the mid 54-second laps, and just really trying to get my head down once again and try and, with some clean air ahead, just trying to get as clean laps as I possibly could, try and get the traction down in areas that I knew there was a bit more grip. And again, going a little bit wider here, you can see getting a little bit of a better exit out of this big sweeping left hand corner, getting a bit of a better run. But you can see, I believe that's Harrison on my shoulder once again. He let me past, I believe. So really just trying not to hold him up, just trying to get some decent runs, especially coming into this uphill ramp, which felt like it was about a 90-degree angle. It was really heavy up the ramp. I really lost a lot of speed compared to some of the other drivers, so I felt that the heavier you are going up there, the worse it was going to be. So I was just trying to urge the kart forward. I think I got a little bit of a bump draft from the driver behind me there as well, which was good. It helped me up the ramp, and we do come around the right hand corner once again, and we come across the line with a 54.205, which is our fastest lap so far. Really getting quicker now as we move on into the session. Again, we move on later a few laps, and we're behind Harrison and Sam once again. I let them pass, I didn't want to hold them up too much. Our last lap 54.347, so being very consistent now, trying to keep up with these two, not letting them drive off as much as I was earlier in the session, able to keep up pace with them a lot. The only corner where I was losing a lot of time was obviously up the very steep mountain of a ramp, and also this corner here, but I was able to get it a little bit better here, and you can see I'm actually gaining time on Sam a little bit here as well. So I was really happy I was getting this corner a lot better here and able to really carry the momentum through the corners. You didn't really want to brake too much. You sort of like the last corner at Cardiff, you wanted to, or the first corner, sorry, you want to sort of turn and brake at the same time to try and get the wheel locked in. You can see there though, I did actually manage to scrape the barrier there, which caused me to lose a little bit of time. I was a little bit confused, almost pushed that driver into the wall there trying to go past, but luckily they did slow down. But we come across this lap with a 54.194, so actually our fastest lap so far, even with a few mistakes. So I knew that there was still time to be improved on. You can see how much time we've gained on Sam up ahead, really tagging along behind the back of him now, so I was able to be very consistent here. Take a little bit of a wider line to try and get a better exit down this little straight here before you flick it into the bit of the complex section here, and really trying to stay as tight as I possibly could to the barriers on the left hand side to minimise the track length, as I've mentioned before. And we come around here again, as I said, just trying to flick the car in, not really using that much of the brake just because there was that much grip where I was able to actually just get the traction down mid corner and then accelerate away. Now here again, just moving to the left before switching back to the right, just trying to get that right line, really using all of the track, just trying to go all the way to the left, coming along that barrier again, hopping through that corner. I don't know what was going on, but I felt like I was the only person that was really hopping around that corner. So again, just try to stay as tight as possible around the right hand corner, and we come across the line. Our fastest lap so far, 54.077 second lap, which was a pretty quick lap, really close to the 53 second laps now. And here we are coming into the last few laps of the session. Our last lap of 54.084 second lap, so really motoring now, really getting close to that illustrious 53 second lap. I believe Sam's fastest lap of the session was a 53.8, so I was really just trying to get into the 53s if I can. A couple of attempts off him I was really happy with, and here once again just trying to get as good and clean exit as you possibly can, really urging the car forward through that section and up the ramp, really just trying to get as much pace in those back wheels as I could. Again, in this section I really wanted to switch it to the right as quickly as I possibly could to then have the correct line coming up the ramp. You really wanted to maintain as much speed as you possibly could, losing a lot of ramp speed going up there. So again, just really trying to maintain my line through this corner as well, just trying to keep it in as straight a line as I could through those two corners. I didn't want to turn too much, as I found that when you do that you lose the back end of the car, and this did lead to a bit of a slower run. And we come across the line there, improving ever so slightly, a 54.059 second lap now, so getting really close to 53 seconds, but not quite gaining that half a tenth that I need to get down into the time that I want. So again, just trying to stay as stable as I possibly can, trying to be as smooth as I can through these sections where it's a little bit not wetter, sorry, but a little bit more damp and a little bit colder and less grip. I don't know what I was doing here, pretending to be a slinky looking over the back of my car at Sam and Harrison behind me. So here again, just trying to really focus on getting a nice clean run up the ramp. Fortunately bogging down, sticking in the middle of the track, which obviously did lead to a bit of a detriment effect to myself and the drivers behind. So I was just trying to get a decent line through here once again, just trying to maintain as straight lines as I possibly could through the three corners there, and unfortunately clipping the wall a little bit here. But we come round this corner again, keeping it as flat out as I possibly dare without going into the far left wall. We come across the line, 54.052 second lap, which was in fact my fastest lap of the session. So unfortunately I did miss out on getting into the 53 second laps by half a tenth, which is really disappointing to see, but I still had some pretty decent pace. My average times were pretty good, so I was quite happy with this, and you're about to see why this last lap wasn't actually my fastest lap of the race or the event. Sorry, I did have a decent run through here, looking over my shoulder. I knew Harrison was breathing all down my neck, and going into the ramps actually does dive down the inside, and it throws me off a little bit, and unfortunately I did lose a lot of momentum coming up the ramp. So here I just stuck behind him, tried to sort of salvage the rest of the lap as much as I possibly could, but you can see how much time I've lost from that little bit of contact there. And we come round the last few corners and down this ramp, which as I've mentioned was a very fun corner, a lot of speed carried in through here, and we come across the line on our last lap with a 54.954 second lap, which wasn't the best, and it wasn't quite up to speed with the rest of the laps, but I did really enjoy it, and I did have a lot of fun coming along to Teamsport Reading. However, as always, this does bring us to the end of the video as we are coming down on our last lap. So if you have watched this far, I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, could you please hit the like button down below, as it really does mean the world to me. And as always, if you are new here, could you please hit the subscribe button if you are new here, or if you haven't already, then why haven't you? But as we come around here, Sam did sneak down the inside me under yellow flags, so I thought that I did just want to call him out for a little bit here, have a little bit of fun. But again, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I will leave a link to my Instagram down below in the description if you want to keep up to date with some of the other events I'm getting up to this year. Also, check out Harrison's channel down below in the description. He's getting up to a lot of things. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.